Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back to our channel and today's video, the moment when I give up. So today I really wanted to talk about giving up because I think one of the biggest disservices that we can do to ourselves is not recognizing when we're starting to give up on ourselves. When we don't recognize when we give up on ourselves and what the telltale signs, the early cues are, then we can miss the opportunity to interrupt this giving up. When in fact, we don't want to give up, when we want to keep going, but we just let this habitual spiral happen quietly in the background before we get so far that we seemingly don't have a choice. So we've lost our momentum, we've lost all of that useful progress that we've made, and it becomes easier to give up and keep yourself down. So today I want to clear up this common misconception that giving up is some big dramatic event or announcement, or often comes when you just hit rock bottom. But instead bringing your awareness to the fact that I would say most of the time when we give up on ourselves, it is this quiet, subtle, slow thing that happens in the background. And the good thing about a slow thing is that we have so much opportunity to interrupt this happening. But we need to do the work to build the self-awareness and look at the hard things, look at the previous failures, the previous times we've given up in the past, so that we can understand ourselves and learn what our cues are, and so that we can change then how we handle it, how we respond, how we see ourselves and take care of ourselves in the future. Because I wholly believe that the reason that we don't achieve our goals and the reason that we fail is never because we weren't capable, but actually just because we gave up early. Let's talk about it. So for this video, I want to use a very common day in the life example that most people could relate to, which is starting an exercise habit. And I'm going to use the gym because, well, I'm a gym instructor. So the gym is the only way we can exercise. So say you've got this goal that you're going to attend the gym 3 times a week, every week for 4 weeks. Now, Sunday at the end of week 1, you've done Monday, Wednesday, Friday, tick, tick, tick. Everything is peachy. Everything's going perfectly to plan. But now it is Monday, 9 p.m. The gym is closed and you have not attended the class that you plan to attend today. This happens in some variation to everyone, and it's even happened in our own personal lives so many times. Yet so many of us refuse to accept this reality that sometimes life happens, whether it's a logistical obstacle that comes up, like you were on your way to the gym and you got stuck in traffic, so you missed your class. And maybe it was the last class for the day or the only class that you can do or that you want to do. Maybe you got all the way to the gym, you arrived at the gym, you got gym clothes on now, you open your bag and you've only got your left shoe. Where is your right shoe? We don't know. Or maybe it was a decision. Maybe you had friends who invited you out and you knew they wanted you to come out with them, or your spouse wanted you to spend some time with them. Maybe something hard had happened for your spouse in the day, or your children, or for whatever reason you wanted to show up for them instead of showing up for what your goal was. Or maybe you're at work and you didn't get enough done that day that you wanted, or studying, you didn't complete what you wanted to complete. So you made the decision to stay later at work or keep studying instead of showing up to the gym. Or maybe it was one of those days where it just wore you down. Thing after thing after thing. You were just tired and exhausted. It had been hard for you, and the last thing you wanted to do was feel more discomfort and move further away from comfort and show up to the gym. So Monday night, week 2, planned a gym class, missed the gym class for whatever reason. At this point, what is the dialogue going on in your head? You're walking around home, or maybe you're laying down and getting into bed, you're cooking dinner that night, or you're sitting down with your friends and family, and in your mind it comes to your attention that you didn't go to the class that you planned to go to. You planned to show up and you didn't show up. What is your dialogue? What are you feeling in that moment? This is what I really want to know, and this is what I want you to know for yourself. Because some of the thoughts that spring to my mind that feel also familiar to me, at a time where I planned to do something, I'd committed to something, and then I let myself down. I didn't show up for my commitment. My thoughts could be something like, I should just be able to show up. It's not that hard. Why can't I do this? I never keep my word to my plans. Why did you think this time would be different? What is wrong with me? I always let myself down. I'm just not the kind of person who shows up for myself, who keeps my word. I'm not the kind of person who goes to the gym regularly. I'm just not the kind of person who can do it. Why do I bother? I'm so lazy. Pathetic. I always prioritize work or other people, other things over my plans, myself, my own commitments. The plan's ruined. What's the point? Why bother? Well, I'm failing. I can't achieve my goal now. So here's the thing. As much as those thoughts seem true, reasonable, fair, realistic, from a cognitive behavioral psychology perspective, I want you to see what they're creating for you in terms of moving towards your goal, your 4-week goal, versus giving up. So what happens here if you have one of those judgments that's fast and mean and defeating? The types of emotions that will be conjured up in your body are things like hopeless, defeated, pathetic, weak, powerless, embarrassed, resentful, shame, guilt. Now, from whatever emotion that thought creates, and each slight different thought will probably produce a slightly different emotion. You just need to be aware of what it's creating for you. But from that generally negative, unpleasant, uncomfortable emotion, we need to think about the behaviors that this creates for us. In terms of behaviors, we can think about both the internal behaviors that we're taking, our cognition and our self-talk. And then we can think about the external behaviors that it's creating, the actual actions or inactions that we do or don't do in the world. So firstly, from an internal perspective, when I'm having that feeling, when I'm down low on the emotional scale, feeling uncomfortable and unpleasant and dealing with these thoughts, they just spur on more and more critical self-talk for me. When I feel this emotion, I am in the spiral. My confirmation bias is going to work and finding all the other times where I felt like this and all the other reasons why I should feel like this and why this feeling is justified. I'm finding more criticisms of myself and I'm finding more reasons to doubt myself. Next, cognitively, when I'm in that emotional state, I'm not solving problems well. I am not solution focused. If I'm hopeless, why bother looking for solutions? That's not where that emotion is going to take me, right? And you probably know well, when you're feeling down, your problem solving is not at its sharpest. You're not cognitively performing well. If you wanted to do your best work, you wouldn't pick an emotion like shame or guilt to sit down and work with. You'd pick something like focused, determined, committed. Now externally, and perhaps this is the part where this can become more tangible for you, noticing where you actually start to give up, where this giving up process actually comes into your life. So firstly, when you're feeling an uncomfortable emotion, any of those negative emotions that we listed or any variation, this becomes your body and mind's #1 priority. Because remember, emotions are meant to be there to say, problem, alarm bells, threat, something is wrong. It takes all of your attention now from your mind and body to that emotion. And we want to solve that emotion. Now, this was good back in the day when perhaps these negative emotions were actually reflective of us detecting some threat in our environment. But these days, we're generally quite safe and we don't want to react in a snap, fast, fight, flight, freeze, appease way. We want to take this emotional signal as just that, a signal to go up into our brain and look at what we're perceiving in the world and decide for ourselves whether it truly is a threat that we should react to or not. But humans don't sit in this emotion well. We want to do something about it. And when there's nothing to fight about or freeze about or appease or do something about, where there's no threat to actually attend to, and we think that we're just stuck with this emotion, often what we like to do is just do things to escape the emotion. So common things that we'll do are softening the emotion. So we'll put some false pleasure on top of that discomfort to make it go away, to smother it, to soften it. And that could be things like eating, drinking wine, going and whining to your friends, anything that softens that discomfort. We all have our things, we're all human, none of us sit well in discomfort by default. It's not how we were programmed. Now, another thing we can do that might seem kind of harmless is sort of shifting or distracting ourselves from the thing that's causing our discomfort. And that might be fine in the sense that it doesn't cause any negative consequences like overeating or bothering your friends or just not showing up how you want. But when we distract ourselves, when we remove ourselves from the situation, we're also missing out on our opportunity to solve the problem, to problem solve, to find a solution, to actually move forwards. We're just removing ourselves from the situation instead of pushing through the barrier that it is. Now, the last part of your external behaviors that I want to draw your attention to builds on this. So we've said that your body doesn't sit in this discomfort well. And the other thing that your amazing human brain can do is be very future focused. If you're having this experience right now in your body and your body's rejecting it, trying to escape it, not enjoying it at all, your brain is also going to be going to work, avoiding any situation in the future that might put you at risk of feeling this way again. i.e., how much is your brain going to want you to show up and potentially risk feeling this way, disappointing yourself, letting yourself down again, showing up to another class if this is the situation that we might land ourselves in? We really are working against ourselves here. One part of our intellectual brain wants us to go to the gym again, to show up again, to try again, or just shift this plan for the Monday class to Tuesday. But there's this other part of us that never wants to put ourselves in the position again to feel this disappointment, defeat, shame, guilt. And so we're working against ourselves now. This part of us doesn't even want us to try again. So with all of these behaviors, this is when you're at your biggest risk of giving up. And remember, it's not just one thought. It's thought after thought after thought after thought. In that immediate moment, in the hours passing, in the days passing, in the days and weeks to come, these thoughts play in your mind, they create that emotional response, and then all of these behaviors. And these behaviors create more problems for us, and they reduce our cognitive and physical performance. So while you're here wanting to defend those thoughts, I really want you to look at what they're creating for you in terms of actually moving you closer to your goal. If each day your brain is producing these thoughts and you're not consciously being aware of them coming up and actually working on the thoughts, instead of just trying to push and work against them and do your work despite them being there, you're going to be working twice as hard as you need to. I think this is really when you're at risk of giving up. When these thoughts accumulate and these thoughts recur and recur and recur day after day after day, when we start thinking this way about ourselves and we wear ourselves down, we disadvantage ourselves, we handicap ourselves, we get in our own way. This is when we are most likely to give up, not after some big catastrophic failure, but as we let our thoughts wear us down by creating all these emotions and all these behaviors that make our goals so much harder. All right, my beautiful friends, let me know if this resonated with you. If you have any more questions, let's chat down below. Big love, and I'll see you guys in my next one.